Nice to see everybody. I have the time as 6:31, so I will call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, July 13th, 2026 to order. We have a quorum, everyone is present. First, we'll go through our regular business meeting agenda. We've got the invitation. Former council member Mike Sabah has agreed to do that. Anyone like to do the pledge? Betty Ann, would you like to lead us in the pledge? Sure. Thank you. We'll have the approval of the minutes, then the approval of the agenda. For the public hearing tonight, we do have the second reading on the UDO 26-01. You mind if we put that off again? I'm kidding.
You need another update?
Does anybody else have any questions or anything? No, but you'll get up and do a short little donkey
You're
punch.
gonna let me out of it this time.
No.
Okay, I'll do it. I'm planning on it.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, yeah.
And
We'll
then
keep
that,
it short.
that will be a public hearing, so we will open the floor to public comment before I ask for a motion and a vote. So we'll hear if anyone has any comments. Then we have two first readings. One is a special use permit.
You want me to hit the highlights?
Yeah, you want to hit the highlights?
Yeah,
on
these,
that?
both of these, C we'll talk about a little bit as far as an update, there's been some changes. But, SUP 26-01,
Explain an SUP first.
okay, special use permits. Special use permits allow the city to ask permission based on a loose set of standards for uses that could potentially be impacted or impact other uses. Churches have long been one just because they can essentially show up in a residential district, they can be in a commercial district, and change traffic flows. This one's not for a church, but for a school for similar reasons. These are private schools. So basically, what they're asking to have at Westside Baptist is just a special use permit for a private K-8 Christian school. It's been in existence for over 35 years. They got kicked out of their old place literally with 2 months before the school year was going to end, so they had to scramble. They made an agreement with Westside Baptist. They already had a school building there that they're not using, so it's a perfect fit. It's already been designed for a school. They don't need, I think they need maybe one variance. It's nothing big. And so we recommend approval. Very simple, good case to just look at for a simple SUP. See the parameters of what you're supposed to be looking at. And SUP does allow the council a little more flexibility to make decisions, you know, that aren't necessarily based on that. So it gives you a little more leverage to decide whether you want something or you don't. We like to have the schools and any of the SUP applicants come before us, and so we can vet them. And we also tie that SUP typically to them and not the property. So if this group was to leave, the church would not have that SUP anymore, and the next applicant would need to come ask. And that's just to make sure we're vetting the people and not the business on a lot of these. This gives us a little more control. You get to meet who you're dealing with. And these folks are good, professional. The application was complete. They know what they're doing, so we felt pretty good over there. So that one should be relatively easy.
And an SUP, it does give council flexibility in that, you know, whether we approve or deny this one, it doesn't set a precedence. So it's not like a rezoning, things like that might have a little more impact like that. It is very much a case-by-case basis, and you're not, just because you said no to this one doesn't mean you couldn't say yes to another one.
It's open-ended, right? They could have one school year and find a permanent building, they could be there.
Yeah, as long as they're there, they're cool.
Okay.
As long as they're there, it's good. If they leave and and somebody else comes in, we need help.
Then it's a new
And we do that with most of them, and we learned our lesson in the past. We give an SUPs to the property, and then it kind of creates a monopoly, and then people just kind of move in and out of that SUP, and you don't know who you're dealing with. So the person you may have granted to the company, corporation, or foundation was great, they've left, and then another person slides in, haven't really vetted them, they've just signed a lease, and here they are. So we kind of changed it to per entity instead of to ride with the property, so we're not creating those monopolies. And that's a good segue too, actually, if there's no more questions on that. To the second one, on C, the first reading for CIC 2601. And I wanted to bring that up, that is with every, and this isn't necessarily a special use permit, but this was initially a special use permit, and it's requesting a change of the conditions. But in the town center, we use a special use permit, and the other way, and to a degree, is we don't set necessarily density limits and hard numbers so that we can look at each case. Like there may be appropriate density in one area in the town center, may not be appropriate, or even the use of multifamily may not be appropriate in another district. So again, the special use permit for the multifamily allows you that flexibility and leverage to look at the owners. It gives you a little more freedom of movement within each space, and it's worked pretty well so far. So just want to go to say that they initially, I don't have anything to really present tonight because the resounding voices that were heard at the planning commission were basically that the change from 171 to 240 and the addition of the 5-story building all the way back to the Greenway Trail was a little too much. So after the applicant heard that, I expressed that to him. They are going to submit tomorrow a revision to the plan, and they're going to submit for only 203 units, so 30 instead of 70. They intend to do that by taking that big long building that kind of sticks back behind the medical facility, the shopping center. They're going to cut that in half of what was proposed, reduce the total floor height to 4, so it'll be 4 stories, halfway back, and that also accommodates the parking, which people were also concerned about, at 1 space per unit, and brings it from 1 to 1.25. So they brought it up by half by reducing half the units. So this supposedly is, what they need to do to get the project done. They compromised over half the units, so we're already supportive of it previously, but obviously would be supported in this form, and it seems to answer a lot of the concerns that the neighbors had as far as the height, the intrusion, how far it went back, and allows the applicant the units they need to develop the property and ultimately, hopefully, get the Ryans going before the mayor's out of here. Because it's been there it's been here since I started non-operable, so 21 years it's sat there. But
No, it was operable.
I've never been to Ryan's.
Really?
Yeah, it's been promised.
Okay.
It was, see,
I know when Hamilton had their office where the police department parking lot was, it
They
was
might have just
operating,
closed down
and then
then.
they closed.
It was 04?
Yeah, they closed before that property was sold to the PD, which I don't know when that was.
Yeah, it was that was 07, but it was gone when I got here. There was no food
It's
to
really
be
right
had.
around that.
Yeah, 21 years we built with that, so. That's what's coming. Once we get those plans in, we'll get them up on the website. We'll shoot you another, basically, hey, we received this. We also expect, I'm hearing 2 more zonings to come in tomorrow too. Tomco is cleaning up their zoning. And Quick Trip is trying to buy that parcel next to them on the 78 between the gun range or the pawn shop.
Yeah.
And them, and now they've started doing they're doing car washes now. So they're basically, I think they're going to do the loyalty club, kind of like Kroger does with the gas station. It'll be integrated into their site. It's not horrible. That'll be another SUP we'll look at too. So not a lot going on, but just trying to show you how that works. And really, honestly, not to prejudge, but in that little slot, it doesn't look terrible. It's right next to it, so it probably is going to work out. But that's the first time we've seen this. So I don't know, they don't necessarily have their room on 124, but that's something you're gonna start seeing. They're doing like it'd be basically like an auto bill type thing, where not just come through, but you come through, you can vacuum, all the other stuff, and it'll be basically be right next door. So start looking for those. That's the first time I've seen that, so.
So if you have had people communicating with you about like the Ryan's development there, just make sure that they're aware that once that revised plan goes up on the website, it'll go up, so it'll be public.
And depending on how
You can point people there.
fast it takes us to flip the information out, we'll either ride with this second hearing as is, but if we need some more time to proliferate to the community, and then just kind of see how it all goes, then we can push out to more weeks and handle it after everybody's seen it. Last thing we want to do is appear underhanded or any kind of information from the applicant, even though it's revising down. I just want to make sure that everybody has time, you guys have time, and then we'll just kind of make that call later next week and see what's up and let you know before the next council.
Okay. Any questions on any of that?
So just to clarify, it may not be on the 27th agenda, which is the same.
Yeah, it could potentially be 2 more weeks.
First
We'll
meeting
say
in
put it
August.
off to the 27th.
Tonight will be the waiver to.
Yeah, for
July
tonight.
27th.
Yeah, I got ahead of myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're on schedule. We'll deal with that second reading when we get to it, see if we're ready or not. I just don't want to go any faster than we need to on something.
I have one question. And
Yes,
it's for,
sir.
not really a question, a point of clarification. You stated that, what was the reason why they felt like this additional, 30 or plus?
Well, originally 70, the reason for the letter of intent is basically to accommodate the underground or the pylon parking where they're building everything underground, the underground detention, that they needed more units to make the deal work. They said 240, and then you kind of find out what the real number was. The real number is 203, so I said, what are we doing basically? But I'll let them explain that to you a little bit.
Okay.
It's really not my place, but I believe to build on top of pylons, which is basically leaving your first floor open to parking, everything costs more. So there's usually a door count or a unit count where they need to be to, make the deal profitable. This guy that owns it now is not going to be the developer. He's the owner. He's going to set it up and then most likely partner or sell to the developer once he gets, once and if he gets approval, which is pretty normal. A lot of times they go into that knowing who that guy might be and they have to get the deal. So one other thing, it's not going to happen right away either. The sewer work has to happen across the street before they can go. So you're looking at probably a year and a half max or then before you probably even see anything cooking over there. So the decision might be right now, but the building is going to take place much later just because of the sewer.
Okay, and then under new business, we do have a resolution that I'm asking you all to support, which is supporting the denial for 300 apartments down on 1160 Athens Highway, which is where that employment property is now. Anybody have any issues or discussion on that?
What is your reason to deny?
The county has denied it. My major reason would be apartments in that area is between our activity nodes that our comprehensive plan has had in for a long time. And so it's putting higher density residential in an area that isn't really fitting for what we've planned. Our plan with having apartments in higher density is town center, the node at Rockdale Circle, and the node at Rosebud Road. And this is in that middle there. It will back up to single-family detached homes. And it'll back up to, it also touches owner-occupied townhomes. as well as the commercial property. So that's my reasoning. I know Gwinnett County Planning Commission has recommended denial. Their staff department has recommended denial. So this would be us supporting the denial.
Do you know what the citizens are saying too? They're against it as well.
Yes, you
There's
do.
lots of.
There's been a lot out on Facebook. It's a county project, so we haven't gotten a lot of direct input. But yeah, everything I've seen on social media has been
I haven't seen anybody in favor of it.
So, I'm asking, essentially the resolution is just stating that, we support the decision for denial and, so, to everybody. So, I'm just looking for your support for that. Of course, if anybody's got any issues, that can be discussed about in the meeting as well.
So just, as always, I like to kind of summarize that. So for them, Gwinnett County itself already denied it. So they already kind of.
Well, so the planning department. The planning department staff has recommended denial.
Okay.
It went to their planning commission. Their planning commission voted to deny. So again, just like ours, their planning commission is a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, which is the next step. So it goes to the Board of Commissioners. They can either deny or they could still pass it. So we're
Have they
just,
ever come to talk to you all about how close it busts out? I know it's their county, it's that part of theirs, but like I said, it sounds like if it disturbs our own comprehensive plan, did they ever talk to leadership and come to talk to you all about how?
no, not typically.
Not
We
typically.
might, and I think they've stopped doing this. They might send us a letter to say, in our sphere of influence, this zoning is happening, but I don't think they do that anymore. So, it's typically, we all try to stay out of each other's sandboxes. We don't want the county weighing in on what we're doing here in the city necessarily. And so we try not to step on their toes when they're making decisions, but when things are really close to our borders and would affect our infrastructure and, our, kind of our plans. So we don't do something like this often. But I think this is something that would warrant them knowing that as a council, the city is voicing their objection to it.
It goes before the commission next month, right? Beginning of next month?
I'm not sure.
28th.
28th of this month.
Next week.
So it is, times,
Right.
it matters for the time. But I'll,
Sorry.
Keep going.
Sorry.
thank you for adding a little background music.
Needed that.
That's from Keys Cakery, by the way.
Where is that?
In Cookie King Grove.
Oh, that's right. I know it.
But I'll open that up for any council comments on that resolution if anybody cares to make a comment. And then we have the jetback truck to surplus. Any questions? We were talking in the pre-meeting. I remember when we bought this. It's terrible when the equipment's wearing out. And then I'm asking for your support for putting Todd Warner on the Downtown Development Authority. That's item C.
I have a question. You said that the previous person submitted their letter of resignation.
I don't think he ever submitted anything officially. We've been trying for months, but his last connection point was, it was Dan LeClaire, and he had moved out of the county, but he still had a business here, out of the city. Oh, he was still in Gwinnett? So he had moved out of the city, his residence, but he still had a business located here. But then we were informed he sold his business. So once he didn't have a business in the Downtown Development Authority, then he was no longer qualified to serve.
Do we open it up to the public at all?
We have the application process that's on the website.
I mean, yes, I do know that, but the vacancy, was it announced publicly there was a space?
I don't think so.
So how is the process for Mr. Warner to apply and others? Were others given the same opportunity to apply?
Anyone has the opportunity to apply for any board. If there's not an opening, then we keep that application on file for up to a year. And if there is another, if there's an opening, then we'll go back and look through those applications.
I just want to let the record show that the position was not made vacant public. The vacancy was not made public. And I believe that if a position was known to be vacant, it should have been made public, so everyone can have an opportunity to apply for that position. I too applied for vacant positions and was never appointed, and my application stayed on file while vacant positions were available.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so that covers the regular meeting, so we will move to the work session agenda. Any correspondence? City Attorney's report. So we'll go to ongoing projects. Mr. Pepper.
Thank you, Mayor Bender. So refer your attention to the city projects update here. So Town Center construction progress. Jacobs has begun the initial process to begin the concept planning for the acreage that the city owns adjacent to the Grove. The initial process is meeting with council members to kind of start to hear your vision for that area, your feedback, if they will take that and go back to their laboratory, so to speak, and begin to shape that concept plan that will then be represented to everyone publicly. I'll just also mention we had a good turnout at our last Downtown Tunes concert that was rescheduled from June for weather. Jan Harris estimates about 200 people were there, which is a good turnout. So we have a concert again. Our regular scheduled concert for the month will be this Thursday at 6 o'clock there. So city business cleanup, so the contractor, the waste management Latham has switched out the majority of the cans. There's probably a few that they haven't been able to get to, that they'll get to over time, that either they get picked up too quick, brought back to people's houses too quick, they can't get them, or they didn't put them out. So there's probably some lingering out there, but they've gotten the majority of them there. Under input on development and zoning guidelines, so just as was mentioned earlier, the EDO updates on the agenda for approval today. There, public hearing on that. Package sales implementation, Jay, nothing new to report from what's been discussed previously. So Briscoe Park Community Center, so the contractor's completed about 75% of the storefront and the roof installation and the waterproofing. So the storefront is kind of the framing for the windows, and the glass is in on that storefront. The masonry work, brickwork, and some stone work there on what we'll call the office side of the building. There, obviously a roof install. There's different layers and things. They start with kind of the base layer and then go up there. So most of that's done in the waterproofing, which is making sure there's no water that's penetrating from the roof into the actual building there. They were going to pour the big slab for the concrete slab for where the gyms are going to be Friday or Monday, but the weather has changed that. We keep getting these downpours of rain for a few days on and off. So hopefully, if we get clear weather by the end of this week, they'll pour that, which is a big step for us. And then you can start working on the framing for the gym. North and Wisteria, so the contractor there has completed most of the project list items. There's a couple that remain that they'll take care of in a couple weeks, and then that project will be officially closed out there. The joint sewer project, we've tried to talk about that intermittently as part of my project update, and I'd like for us to commit a little more time to that. And so I would request, if it's okay with council, for our 27th meeting, if we could start the work session at 6 o'clock, and I could spend a good half hour just going over the situation and what recommendations we have, what the county's willing to do, so we can at least give the county an answer on where we stand on it. Does that work for everybody's schedule? Do a half hour early?
For me, it does.
Perfect. We'll make a note of that, and when we advertise for the meeting, we'll make sure that work session starts at 6 o'clock, not 6:30.
Will you put that in an email when you send out the agenda? So I'll get into that routine.
Sure, yes, yeah, we do this very often, so,
Right.
yeah. And then, under Christmas decor, so I mentioned last meeting that we would pick some decor items together. Did not realize at the time that there were some other eyes on some of the decor items that we had. So we went ahead, staff met with Kelly from Snellville Tourism Trade, picked out a few things that we felt good about. I'll share them with you, I'll pass them around. But here's one that we like. It's a Season's Greetings, about 40 feet long. We didn't like it for the Grove because you can't really get around to take a picture because it's 40 feet in length. But we thought this would be a good spot, maybe somewhere along 78 or 124 when you're driving by, you can see it there. This one here is just a kind of arch that would be where we had lit beer in the past. And then after that was more of the happy candles there that folks can take a picture under there. And then at the Grove, we decided we thought it might be nice to have a tree there, and eventually we'll take photos with the tree. It's not shown here, but as part of the base bid, there is some lighted garland that will be on the split rail fence. It would look pretty nice to have that in the background with the tree. So it encourages folks to come out and take a picture with it, that sort of thing. So all of that is below the threshold that we all talked about, $100,000. If those are items that don't work well or we don't like, it doesn't look good or whatever, then we can switch them out next year and look for different ones.
And we can start that process next year earlier, like in March or so that maybe the Christmas committee can kind of pull together a selection of things that we can all take a look at before those decisions have to be made. But those have to be done really early in the year because that stuff gets rented, at least.
That's all.
Okay.
I have a question. So we don't have an update on the package store at all?
No.
I don't know if I can say something public, because I know we have executive sessions, but I do have a question that, I noticed a post on social media regarding something that was, I don't know if you can say it publicly.
Well,
Yeah,
I would
talk to you.
just talk to Jay
Let me
separately.
ask you that, because I've seen.
I don't know what was posted on social.
Yeah, because I don't want to say anything that I'm not
I don't know
supposed
what
to
you're talking
say.
about, I'm not.
But it's, so
Yeah,
there's a post
I'm not out
about,
there very much anymore.
about public documents, court documents that, because court documents are open to the public. I know you're saying EC is closed, but there are some public court documents that have been posted online. And I just wanted to ask.
Okay, yeah,
regarding
yeah,
that.
we can talk now, 'cause I'm not
Okay.
looking.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. The next discussion on the Highway 78 law.
Yes.
That's very important.
So the only reason I brought that up is because of the text message that was that went through regarding, leadership was in conversation regarding the wall, and Pro Tem Mayor mentioned that, and I was unaware of leadership, so I asked Matt if he knew anything about it, and Pro Tem Mayor Carter just mentioned that you were just speaking about us as leadership, which I knew that, but I was not privy. I didn't know what you were speaking of when you said discussion. So I just wanted an opportunity, if we are going to talk about the wall, let's go ahead and have a conversation about it. If anybody has any other ideas or whatnot. I know we have an art fund. I know we were talking about that with our tour, Maria and Mr. Swami.
Mhm.
And I know you had some ideas about that, so if we could talk about that, that would be great, because it is an eyesore, and we do need to figure out what we're gonna do about it. And paint may not be feasible because of the sun, or a mural, because of the sun over time, it may decay and we come right back to the situation. So I want something that's longer term, not something short term. If we're gonna do something, I don't want it to go bad in 3 years, and then we gotta continue to do this over and over again. I want something that has longevity. That's what my dinner would like. So I like to mirror the things that we already have in the city, that when you come in, for example, the 2 pillars, if we could just mirror something very simple, have something that says Snellville, where everybody's proud to be somebody along that wall, and just mirror what we already have throughout the city.
But you said not painted.
Correct. You can get just like how you have the cobblestones on the pillars, the two pillars on 70th and 124.
Brick,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, and just make that same type of mosaic and have a similar stamping. And then you can have like a little line.
Well, part of
I'm not
that,
an artist.
yeah, well, and part of that is it's a Georgia DOT law,
Mhm.
so we have to be careful.
Okay.
I don't know that we could just brick the wall without their permission. The part of the leadership part of things, we talked about, and I say we, the prior council had approved, we bought paint. Do we have paint? Or we picked out
Yeah,
color?
it's in my office somewhere.
So,
Say that again?
our
It's in my
plan,
office.
our plan was just for, and it was gonna be council, was gonna go out there and just paint it all a solid color. And I think we bought paint. And I don't remember what color was decided. You know, Butch was pushing for the battleship gray.
Red.
But we were just gonna paint it a solid color until we took the step to figure out exactly what to do with it. I think to do murals, which I am all in favor of, to do those around the city, I think in talking to Jason about another issue that had popped up, I think last year or so, we probably need to just make sure our signage, because murals kind of bleed into signage, but they're not really. So we just need to make sure our ordinances are really good, so that we've got a process. If we want to approve a mural somewhere, how do we go about that? Selecting the muralist, all of those things. We just need to set that process up a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, if everybody's good with going ahead and just using the paint that we bought, we probably need to get that wall pressure washed and get out there and roll it one day.
As a
Just
short-term fix?
As a short-term
Right,
fix.
because you know the sun will tear that up and it'll mess up. Okay.
Yeah, but that would be short-term until we get all the rest of the stuff worked out.
And then I'm hoping that, I'm sorry, that we can get like an arts committee to help
Mhm.
come up with ideas, get people from the community to get some input.
Do we know who to talk to get permission? Not necessarily paint it white, but to do a longer term solution so that we don't spend the money on it and then have to come back. And it either get, we have to undo it or.
Yeah, we probably need to talk with our DOT representative.
I don't want to spend money making it pretty and then.
And it is that we do have to talk to them.
Yeah, you just have to make sure.
When you guys did it in 2014, what was the process? When you approved it?
We did, we had to do, yeah, we had to definitely.
Usually have to.
I thought we just kind of did something to,
No, we had to they basically just told us if it's certain it's paint, they don't really care so much. But that's been a long time, they might be, a little more restrictive or less now.
yeah,
I mean, I don't think they care, honestly. Anything is better than that, so
yeah.
typically, that part shouldn't be a problem.
So if y'all are good with doing a community day out there and painting the wall, just ask that we don't do it when it's 95 degrees.
Sounds good.
100% humidity.
Sounds good.
I don't do heat very well.
So we wanna do a day now, we're gonna wait No date, no date.
Let's,
Tomorrow.
how about the next meeting? We'll
Next
set a
meeting.
date in the next meeting. We'll see what the weather's looking like then.
Thank you, that's a lot.
Okay, and then we had the Youth Homeless Crisis, Councilman Brown.
I brought this up because I'm constantly finding children sleeping under the stairs and in the room and in our bathrooms. We currently have 5 agencies that we partner with Overcomers House, Minnie the Gap, Salvation Army of Gwinnett County, Family Promise, and Southeast Co-op. Most of these children do not have, they're not old enough to even apply for these services. There's only one youth homeless shelter in Gwinnett County that's in Lawrenceville called Positive Impact. That's the homeless shelter that Snellville Youth Council helped with at Christmas. I reached out to Tammy and talked to her about the problem. She said that, just a little bit more research on what Gwinnett County is actually doing. So they created, in 2026, this past June, they created a homeless task force here in Gwinnett County to address this issue. The problem is that the issue is not only just with adults, it's with kids. What I'm finding is that there's a multitude of reasons why these kids are on the street, but there is no resources. She doesn't have room, there's no room, no shelters, we can't ship them, there's no resources to ship them to anywhere because there's nowhere for them to go. So it's bothering me because I'm looking at, so I went to the Gwinnett County Schools. There is a Homeless Assistance Act that they have in place for kids that live in shelters, hotels, sleeping in cars, or with relatives. They don't have to provide proof of residency to go to school, and they can consider themselves homeless. Well, let's think about the ones that are just bringing their kids here to go to school and just saying we're homeless. It doesn't really give a really good number of how many homeless kids we have right here. I can give you a good number by seeing the ones and trying to get them to shelters. And there aren't any shelters. So the question is, in what role should we play as a city? Because they are coming to our city in numbers. The other day I walked to my pool. There is a young man that is sleeping in the hallway behind the gate because it's raining. There was 2 children under the stairs on the ground floor by the cleaning closet. So I don't know where these children are coming from, but I'm not finding any resources on where they can go. So because we have this beautiful city, they're coming here because they feel safe. There's nothing's going to happen to them. But should we consider doing something like a task force to partner with this, with the Board of Commissions and the Homeless Task Force? Should we partner with them to try and get them some resources? Because right now there are none. We have 0. Other than, trying to reach out to who we know, should we appoint a liaison from the city to work with Gwinnett to see if we can get them some resources? But it is a problem. It is a problem that is growing very fast, and I did talk to a couple partners in the community, and they're just lacking funding. So when I did talk to Tammy, she's saying, yeah, I would love to build more houses or have more places for them to go, but she's at capacity. The other problem is that once they're in the system, they usually are uneducated, so literacy is a problem. So we partner with them to give them jobs, but most of the time, when they go and take the assessments for jobs, like Quick Trip, they can't even pass the reading and math assessments. So the resources are available within the homes, but they're not available within the community. So I'd like to get some input back on this because it really is a problem. And finding kids is in our front yard is an issue. So, some feedback, what do you guys feel that we should do? I'm happy to research this even further. I know that, so looking at this, police calls, we come and kick them out. Right now, we have 398 individuals experiencing homeless according to the numbers, but these are not all the numbers that are counted in the city. And
that number's from where?
that's from Gwinnett County,
The school system?
from the school system. It's not, it doesn't give a correct number of the students because it's only those who are registered in the school, not those who are migrating here. There are other faith-based organizations that like provide temporary housing in hotels, but a 15-year-old can't go to get a hotel. They have no identification, even trying to put them in a hotel room.
So why aren't these kids being handled by the
Foster care or parents?
foster care?
Are they foster care or?
No.
So they have parents that just,
They don't.
they have circumstances.
Circumstances, life circumstances. Some of them have mental defects. Try to get them, but even the mental health facilities, they have to be admitted to a hospital, and then there has to be an adult, they would be put on a 1013 to be placed in a mental facility, and not given the proper resources that they need. And so if you get them into a place like Positive Impact, they have the mental health resources and everything tied to this particular organization. Even with Mending the Gap, they give food and clothing, like they help with housing assistance. But DFACS is not tracking these kids. They're showing up in our front yard. They're under our stairs, they're in our library, staying all day. They're now sitting at the Grove, and then not to mention
I don't understand why DFACS isn't stepping in and accepting them into the foster care program.
it's, our system is broken.
I mean, I would recommend that somebody plan to go to the Gwinnett Task Force meetings and find out what they're coming up with. And presenting the problem. I don't know how their meetings are gonna be structured, if they'll have like public comment or if you can go on as a liaison. But I think that's probably what needs to happen. We've got to partner with the county. I mean, there's no way that we can take that on.
It has to be a
With the city,
partnership because it has to be funded, and we don't have it. So there are a couple grants out, you get grants all the time, but connecting the right resource that can apply for these grants is going to be personal to helping us.
Mhm. And does Ann at Overcomer's house, have you talked with her? Do they have a
They don't
program for
really
that?
have anything for 17 and under.
Yeah,
And that's where we're experiencing a high rate is the 17 and under.
because that's not really mending the gaps
No,
process either. I mean, their mission is to service senior citizens, and provide some material resources and things like that to them.
Family Promise of Gwinnett offers low-income households.
But it's for families,
For
right?
families. It's like, I don't know where these kids' parents are. I have no idea.
There's a huge gap with homeless, residentially displaced for men with children, and children.
The children.
But if you're, it's really gonna focus on women and children, or women, domestic violence, about domestic. And I think that's the avenue with which our society needs to fill in the gaps. Because you do have a lot of minor children who are leaving abusive homes, but they're not getting put, and they don't know how to go to DFACS. And the state of Georgia, this DFACS is over $80 million in the deficit, so they don't have funding to help the people that are already in their system.
And then I want school getting connected with the resources at school. So when I find kids under the stairs.
I think that it's incumbent upon us, if we are truly committed to this, that somebody here needs to start go to the Gwinnett County meeting tomorrow. Somebody needs to join the task force. Because when you, on that task force, as I read the way that it's set up, there's a lot of expertise on that task force. This issue is not new to Gwinnett County. I've been to meetings with the Council for Quality Control, and your other agencies, they've been studying this, working on this for a long time. And just recently, when the county posted that they want people to come in and want people to get involved. So, you know, if you want to be part of the solution, then you have to be part of the group that's doing that.
I've already applied, so, I
I'm
don't mind
happy to
championing
do so.
it.
I
So I'm already
just
applying.
wanted to make sure the council knew that this was the next step, was to reach out to them and see what they do.
So one of the things that, like we said, when we start talking about youth, the legality behind giving them to certain services, they have to have a parent. I don't see how we saying that there's, what I'm saying when I say the youth have to have a parent, there's a guardian. If this youth traveled from out of state and ended up in Snellville under the stairs of the grove, then that he or she has a parent out of state. We don't have the services here in a nutshell. What we're talking about doing would take years to provide a service here. That's why I sit the services in Lawrenceville. So I agree with you. Like, how do we, if we talk about immediate release, we can talk all day for the next 5 to 10 years, but immediate release with some youth sitting on the stairs means tonight, tomorrow, they need to be moved somewhere. Under the stairs is not an appropriate place for youth to be spending the night. But what I'm saying is, outside of turn them over to your local police, and they're willing to go there and willing to have that time. I'm not putting it on the local police. But outside of that, when you're dealing with an underage child, none of us can have the legality or the authority to do anything for that child. If we have a service right now that we can walk that child to, unless that service specifically is, how do you say, policy-wise for underage, that teenager can turn and walk and go right back under the stairs. So in immediate response, I would like to know in immediate response what requested. If I say that there's a 15-year-old under the stairs and we send police support, not again saying do that, I'm making that as an example, to get this young person from under the stairs, where would police report send them to Lawrenceville? As far as straight to there.
So what we would, and I appreciate you bringing that up, how we would act to that kind of call is that it would be best to say, because this person's not just homeless, they're most likely a runaway. They had a home somewhere, and they're likely reported as a runaway on the national system. They could be runaway from a different state, they could be runaway from Lawrenceville or any other place around here. We only have one active runaway case in the city of Snellville right now. But they're a runaway from somewhere. So DFACS is absolutely the ones that have to come and take custody of those kids. They've got homes that they can put them in. And I think that's probably why you don't see a lot of shelters for juveniles, is because DFACS has already taken over finding group homes to place these children and foster parents to place these children. And they have the ability and the contacts to find these people's legal guardian. I would be worried just to leave someone, that is most likely a runaway without calling us. So we would hope, like anybody that sees somebody that could be a runaway, to call us, because they could have got trafficked here in Snellville.
That's the issue.
And I mean, there's really no way to know it unless you interview them.
So first we need them not to be scared.
Well, that's
We
the
need them
problem,
to
because they
recall
are scared.
Snellville
They're
police.
scared of the police. And so by the time the police get there, they're gone. Like these two kids, by the time you call the police department, they're nowhere to be found. They're running. So I don't know, with me seeing them, I'm sure they'll be back. But somebody's got to gain their trust to even get them connected with DFACS. I don't know what the situation is. Yes, we can call the police, but unless I can just gain their trust, hey, go with the police, I don't know, they could have been trafficked. I mean, there is a big epidemic of trafficked youth. So I don't know, but calling DFACS, what's their response
Well,
time? How long do they
we would call DFACS and stay with the children until DFACS shows up.
Okay.
So, and we can't, if we know that they're most likely listed as a runaway unless their parent absolutely does not care. And at that point, the parent's committing a crime, because you can't throw your kid out. You have to report your kid missing. But we would stay with the children. I mean, they would not be allowed to leave until DFACS comes and picks them up, because they're in protective custody at that point.
And don't tell them that you're calling the police.
Yeah, you don't
Let
have
them
to
sleep
tell them
and
that.
call.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to reach out to the task force and see what other additional resources we can get for the city.
And for you separately, if that comes about, if you text me, I have no problem coming out to the grove and figure out how to talk to a bunch of young people. The worst they can tell me. No, I'm saying, call them for sure, but if, all I'm saying, we talking about gaining trust, call them. They come and run off one day, they prefer to talk to a person who's not in uniform, we're not gonna know that. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna mark my words, but I'm gonna say with my skill set in that area, I would do what I have to do to help them. And I would be strategic about it, if that makes sense. So, it's not obfuscate from using police. It's just that if you're talking about gaining trust, because it sounds like you've probably seen them enough under those stairs to kind of know. It's almost like I'm going to use this term and I directly apologize, but almost like a stray cat or animal that's skittish initially until they have that understanding that you're there to help. The human mind values the same trust. So I'm talking about just a quick connection with him, even like, hey sir, how you doing? One of the young men, I feel like, I kind of know, but you can't tell he's homeless because he's on his bicycle most time. He's on, see, and he's out.
Skateboard Pete?
Is that who?
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
Okay, so
he's living under, he just finds places to sleep. There's two of them. So, yeah, and he's got some mental issues.
he does. So, not to put him out, I'm not going to long-wind this, but that young man used to try to help during when the summer camp program first stood up about 2 years ago. Good young man, but you can tell, and this now we're going back to one of the cases like we told that gentleman a couple of weeks ago. It's not that he wants to be, but what mental health things are occurring here that makes him want to be. And that's what I mean. That means we can call police can show up in civilian clothes and he's going to leave because that's where he wants to be. I know that young man. That's what I mean. Give me time. If I come across him, we'll talk about service. I talked to him 2 years ago about that. He was 14, 15, 2 years ago. Because he was trying to work at. So he's 17 now.
He couldn't pass the racetrack exams to get a job. So they're not even able, I don't think he can read or count. Like, I know he can probably count money, but like when it came to passing that, he couldn't pass it.
So I think the overarching consensus is we do want to do something. Now is trying to organize how can we do it. And I think those of us that really want to, like Pro Tem Mayor Carter said, if you really want to do it, let's sit down, let's have a conversation, let's draft out, because I know, for lack of a better word, we're in the community, we're doing these things already. You know,
I'm
so
good for that,
strengthen
but you just brought up there is some young people under the age of 18 sitting on the stairs. So I'm just telling you right now, sometime tonight, I'm gonna go there. Based off my secondary job as an educator, the cat is out of the bag. Is there some youth at the Grove? I'm going to the Grove to figure out. We don't have time to wait for that.
I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying as a board, if we want to make a difference in Snellville, then we need to organize something constructively amongst all of us so that we can implement something like Pro Tem Mayor Carter said.
What I'm saying is don't duplicate work. That's why I'm saying just join the task force.
Exactly.
Join the task force, let them know specifically what we're seeing here and find out, what the plans are going forward on how that's going to be handled.
We want to stop by the road in the middle of the morning, so please, chief, y'all get a phone call. That's what it will be. Swear to God. Yeah. That's what
Okay, so I'll report back after I get the information from the task force and see what.
wake up at 2 in the morning.
And applications online for anyone, they do have specific roles, but they are asking for community input. So, and like I said, I signed up to join because they are looking for somebody who's actually grassroots.
And I'll also reach out to our county commission for our area.
Jasper, on
That's all I have.
Okay, so that is the end of our work session. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Any second?
Second.
All in favor? The time is 7:25, so I'll take it all in there.